Good morning, everyone. Uh, Coastal cities experience coastal erosion and more frequent and severe flooding in low-lying areas. Around 50% industrialization, urbanization, such as changes in land use, land cover, biodiversity loss, increasing pollution levels, uh, including the multiple impacts of poor waste management. Given the background, the US Consulate General Chennai, in partnership with the Energy and Resources Institute, initiated an evidence-based awareness and education program, that is Project Ocean Matters, that trains and mentors schools to collect, record, analyze environmental data related to climate change and marine pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, it is truly a pleasure to welcome you all to the online workshop on environmental logging. My name is Monmi Barwa. I am from the Education for Youth Empowerment area at the Environment Education Awareness Division at TERI. I am honored to be your MC for this special event. We are here today to discover the art of effective and engaging writing to use blogging as an effective tool for environmental communication. Today, the online workshop is graced by the presence of Mr. Scott E. Hartman, Public Diplomacy Officer at the US Consulate General Chennai, Ms. Amita Malhotra, Founder Equality, Dr. Livleen K. Kehlon, Senior Fellow and Associate Director, Environment Education Awareness Division at TERI, Ms. Sultanat Kazi, a Fellow at the Education for Youth Empowerment area at TERI, Dr. Elroy Pereira, Associate Fellow at the Center for Marine Resources Division at TERI. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Scott E. Hartman, who is the Public Diplomacy Officer, US Consulate General Chennai. To give a background, Mr. Scott has been at the US Consulate General Chennai since 2021 and oversees a range of cultural and educational programs focusing on multiple global, regional, and bilateral themes, including human rights and democracy, inclusive economic growth, climate change, women's empowerment, global health security, fostering stronger Indo-Pacific ties, among others, with audiences across Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and Lakshadweep. He speaks 9 languages at varying degrees of fluency, highlighting his personal emphasis on direct communication. We are honored to have Mr. Scott, and I now request Mr. Scott to deliver the welcome address and set the theme for the workshop.
So I will try to speak quite clearly so that everyone can hear me. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all for letting me be a part of today's event. We're extremely thankful to the long collaboration that we've had with TERI on the Ocean Matters project, and delighted that all of you can join us today for what we hope will be a very interesting session for you. So as most of you know, the media sphere is changing very quickly. And increasingly, people are relying on social media and other tools, not only to get their news, but also to engage with like-minded people on issues that matter to them. And in this context, blogging is a fantastic tool for us to mobilize people, engage with people, and inform people on the issues that matter to us. And no issue is more, dare we say, pressing and more relevant to all of us than climate change and what is happening with our planet, because we live on this planet. It is part of our existence. It is part of our future. And it affects everything we do, which we've seen very a great deal here, as it has been one of the hottest times on record, at least here in South India. We hope that this is not foretelling what is coming, but all of us have a role to play, and engaging and being activists is a fantastic way that you can help sensitize people and engage people on this issue. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it back to the TERI team so that we can get started. And please, if you have questions along the way, please do ask them, because we want this to be an engaging an interactive session. And I would also recommend that you take a look at some of the opportunities that we offer. We do have some environmental themed programs, both through the Fulbright Scholarship, but also through some of our exchanges. So we hope that some of you will take the opportunity to apply for those in the future. And with that, I'll pass you back to TERI, and thank you so much once again for letting me be part of today's event.
Thank you, Mr. Scott, for a warm welcome. Your words have, set the tone for what promises to be a fruitful workshop. Thank you once again. Project Ocean Matters is a citizen science program that activated the participation of schools in gathering data related to climate change and marine pollution using the globe learning and observation to benefit the environment, that is GLOBE, and the microplastic monitoring protocol trial, that is MMPT. So for further talk about the project, I would like to invite the project in charge, Ms. Saltanat Kazi. She is a fellow at the Education for Youth Empowerment area at the EEA division of TERI. Over to you, Ms. Saltanat.
Thank you very much, Monvi. So I just wanted to, we have a film on the project Ocean Matters, which we will be screening. So before we get down to it, I just wanted to let you all know about Project Ocean Matters. So Project Ocean Matters is a citizen science program. And this program is working with around 200 schools. We are working with around 6 cities, coastal cities from both the east and west coast of India. So these are Mumbai, Bangalore, Mormugao, Chennai, Kochi, and Puducherry. And in all these schools, what we are working on is basically to sensitize the schools to use protocols to monitor the environmental health of the oceans. And here we are looking at the salinity parameter, the climate change parameter, salinity and temperature, which is the climate change parameters, and we are looking at the presence of microplastic in surface waters, which is basically, addressing the issue of marine pollution. So these programs which we are doing, so in addition to training schools to monitor the environment, we are also helping them in working, to run campaigns and spread awareness on the various issues related to the environment. And this they are doing in their schools, and then from their schools, it's being taken into the community. So without any further ado, I would request the film on, Ocean Matters to be screened. Thank you.
Over to you, Saltanat.
Thank you very much, Moni. So I hope you all have all got a gist of the project Ocean Matters, and it is a very you get to actually be visit the water bodies. You get to go to the beach. We also have a lot of beach cleanup drives. We also have sessions which is about shore walks so that we learn about the biodiversity. So we really look forward to, schools joining in to be part of this program, especially from Chennai, Puducherry, and from Kochi. Thank you. Over to you, Monu.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Saltanat, for presenting the project over the years, project journey. Now, move on to the next session. As you know, the program also enhances capacity and skill sets in students, educators, and the community to spread awareness and proactively safeguard ocean health. To talk more about the significance of oceans, may I invite Dr. Elroy Pereira, who is an associate fellow at the Center for Marine Resources.
Thank you, Monmi. Is my screen visible?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, students. Good morning, everyone. So this will be a mini exploration of how important, how diverse, how vast, how complex and complicated our oceans are. To give you a small idea of the various features of our oceans, we can discuss the physical properties ranging from water cycle, waves, pressure, temperature. Then you have chemical properties of the oceans, whether it's the pH, the salinity, whether it's the nutrients, whether it's the presence of ions. The oceans are so complex and so vast, they're divided into 5 distinct oceans: the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean. So this figure, this word cloud gives you a slight indication of how unique and how full of features our oceans are. Now, looking at one of the most important features of the oceans is the marine life. Marine life interests us all, and there are a plethora of organisms that inhabit our oceans, ranging from the largest, like the blue whale, up to 33 meters, to the smallest of zero point zero 0.02 micrometers. We have bacteria, we have fungi. So the range and biodiversity of oceans is so unique and so huge, and they inhabit different ecosystems. So understanding how important the marine life, the physical features, the chemical features, all these things contribute to making our oceans a unique place. Looking more closely at the ecological provisions the ocean gives us, with an understanding of the physical and chemical provisions of the oceans, we can understand more closely how it is important in regulating our climate. We all know that the oceans cover around 70% of our Earth's surface. With that in mind, we can understand its provision to primary productivity, the air it provides for us to breathe, the carbon dioxide sink it acts as, and as the largest reservoir of water, accounting for around 97% of all the water on our Earth, it is the largest reservoir of water. Also, interestingly, it is the starting point of all the terrestrial life that we see around us. All the way back then, all the life that has developed around us, the genetic stock has derived from our oceans. So our oceans have numerous provisions for us, and we acquire so much from our oceans. Looking more closely at the economic activities that derive from our oceans, humans have interacted and have oceans as part of their lives across history. So whether it's navigation, whether it's shipping and trade, whether it's food production through aquaculture, shipping, whaling, and fishing, whether it's leisure and travel through cruises, scuba diving, whether it's power generation through wind, offshore farms, whether it's extractive industries such as oil, natural gas, and the removal of metals, we have an intrinsic relationship with the oceans. This map basically highlights the exclusive economic zones the sovereign states have governance over, where they have exclusive rights of extracting marine resources. So with an understanding of how important oceans are to us in terms of economic needs and survival, we can look at the threats we pose in terms of negative influences, whether it's through land-based activity, which contributes to 80% of the waste in our oceans. Plastics, as you all know, pose a major threat to the oceans. And with that in mind, we have the emission of greenhouse gases, which exacerbate greenhouse effects leading to climate change, ocean acidification. So an understanding of the physical and chemical parameters that govern our ocean are important to, deciding what happens and how we can rectify this. You also have overfishing, which is the removal of fish species at a rate faster than what the ocean can replenish. We also have pollution in terms of oil spills. So there are several threats our activities pose in terms of negative influences. So with this in mind, we now turn to how we as a race act in protecting our oceans. This could include uh, protecting our oceans in the national, regional, and international context, whether it is through policy making, whether it's enforcement of protected areas, whether it's the promotion of sustainable seafood or activities by various ocean cleanup projects. There are several initiatives by governments and organizations in protecting our oceans. Now, with this in mind, we would ask how we can help as individuals in protecting our oceans. Primarily, you can reduce or decrease the use of plastics. That is one of the primary things you can do. Since most of us reside in coastal areas, cleaning up our local beaches can be an initiative we can take up and not a daily activity. Importantly, it is important to eat sustainably. What this means is having more information about the seafood you acquire, having a more greater detail of breeding cycles and what fish and what fish not to consume during certain cycles. Importantly, it is crucial to save water, use eco-friendly products, and educating others about how important the ocean activities are around us. Now, with so much to cover, so much to understand, and so much complexity with regards to the oceans, it's important to understand how we are tailoring the blogs and what you can focus on with regards to our ocean. Now, there are several themes that the oceans encompass, but we are focusing on debunking myths, looking at local heroes of the ocean and coastal tales, whether it's the presence of local fishers in Tamil Nadu who have turned to protecting their coral reefs by using sustainable fishing techniques, whether it's a reef diver in Spain who has turned his scuba diving skills into advocacy, whether it's the presence of local warriors in Goa who have, promoted advocacy in reducing plastic consumption and turning public needs toward the use of cloth bags, whether it's a community of women in Tamil Nadu who have used their experience in surviving cyclones and propagating that information so everyone in the community is aware on how they can protect the community together. We also have myths that populate our oceans. Are sharks actually man-eating monsters? Is the ocean invincible against human impact? Is the ocean fully explored? These are some of the inspirations, some of the themes that can structure and give you a framework to work within. So before I leave, I would like to leave you with life exists where there's water. What if clean water ceases to exist? So I wish all the fellow bloggers over here and all the participants the very best in your blogging competition. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elroy. A wonderful thought, and I think students should, start thinking about it and put their thinking caps. So thank you for touching upon the, significance and explaining the role of oceans and their impact on climate change.
Thank you,
you.
Monty.
Moving on, one of the aim of the program is to inspire action, raise awareness, and foster a deeper connection to our oceans. In order to do so, environmental communication plays a key role, in fact, in raising awareness and educating the public on the complexities of environmental issues so that they can not only understand the importance of environmental protection and conservation, but also make informed choices and participate in the environmental conservation. The next session we have is on environmental communication, which will be taken up by Ms. Kazi. Over to you, Ms. Saltanat.
Thank you, Bonnie. Yeah. So I have a presentation. So request to stop sharing the screen so that we can. Yeah. So thank you, Elroy. That was a fantastic presentation. Giving us an overview of the ocean. And now I'm just doing the job of linking that with environmental communication. So I mean, before even we get into, understanding what is environmental communication, I'll start with the concept of what is communication. So when we ask people what is communication, I'm sorry, the presentation is not loaded yet. So when it gets loaded, it will be there. So I'll just continue with the session so that there's another very important speaker who's going to speak about blogs, and I don't want to, get into her time. So as I said, communication is a two-way
Tanya,
process.
sorry, do I
Yeah.
screen the PPT, the one you shared earlier?
You have it. Akanksha was trying to.
Okay, all right, sure.
Someone is sharing the screen right now, so she can't do it.
Akanksha can just overtake it. It's fine.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So, as I said, communication is a two-way process, and in this two-way process, we have, the person who's the sender and the receiver. So, the sender is the person who's initiating the communication, and then this information passes on to the receiver. And there's a mode in which this information will be going. So it could be, and those things would be very different. So it could be a mode where we are doing it through writing. It could be a mode which is through I mean the chats which is happening right now, or it could be through social media. It could be through email. It could be just a conversation. Something what we are doing now is a webinar. So so this is so the information is moving from one person. It's being received by the other person. Now in this, often the myth is that when we are talking about communication, we focus more about what we need to tell and how we need to tell. But another very important aspect is, that for us to be able to tell things properly and for us to articulate very well, we also need to listen. And that is something which, I would ask all of you all when you are working on your blogs, focus on that aspect. So listen to what is being said about the ocean, understand perspectives of different stakeholders really well. Going on to the, yeah, can you move to the next slide, please? What is communication? I've covered. Next one, please. So there are different types of communication. So we have basically verbal, non-verbal communication. So verbal is basically what we speak. The non-verbal would be, sign language. We have written and we have visual communication. And, we also have formal and informal depending on the mode of communication. Okay. The next slide, please. So coming to what is environment communication, when we are focusing about environment communication, it is about, how people perceive and interact with the natural world. And why is it important, to look at how people perceive about the environment? Because it is, the way they perceive the environment, it plays a role in how they interact with the environment, and it shapes their relationship with the environment. So the perception and interaction is something which happens, and it's very important that we understand this aspect when we are looking at the natural world. And the environmental communication, I mean, the information that we get from there, we use it for several things, which is like, to help in spreading awareness, in helping in looking at developing environmental policy, or to, enlist people's support to be part of, certain programs. So this is all what helps out with environmental communication. Next slide, please. So the key features over here, we look at, about the articulation of environmental information. So we have to, when we are presenting the information, it's basically the presentation of science. We need to try and break it down and keep it very simple and put it in a very clear manner so that any person, any lay person can understand. When we are in school, we are always trained, that definitions are important, keywords should not be. So here, when we are talking about it, we have to break things down so that even the layperson can understand. So that is something, again, one of the key features when we are looking at environmental communication. because we deal with a wide range of stakeholders when we are working with it. So, and we want these different stakeholders to then participate and take action. Next slide, please. So when we are looking at the key steps for environmental communication, we need to know who our audience is. We need to craft very compelling stories, and we need to have very good content. These three aspects is something which Amita will be covering. So I will not get into these details and just leave you with with the why environmental communication is important. Next slide. So when we are looking at environmental communication, one thing which is very important is, it helps in documentation. So environment is something which is constantly evolving. What knowledge we had about it earlier is constantly changing. And this is something which needs to be documented. It helps in, raising awareness. It helps in bringing about a behavioral change. It also helps us in influencing public opinions, because once we raise awareness, people understand the issue, then they want to participate in, so they will participate by either bringing a behavioral change at their own level, or they may even, take it and, make it like a social movement. So environmental communication earlier has moved, earlier it was just like the environmentalists who are doing it. Now, it is moving to a larger audience. And given the current state at which the planet is, and we are really grappling to stick within the rising temperature, and we are grappling to ensure that we don't exceed 1.5, which is again a struggle. We need to try and see that we get more people participate in the whole journey, and we need to do that by raising a lot of awareness, and galvanizing people's support. And another thing that also happens with environmental communication is it gives the opportunity for people to raise their voice, and allows to even hear the voice which is never heard. So when we are doing that, then we get a better understanding of the issues, and then we are able to even address environmental conflicts. So that's again something which is very important. So these are some of the things that it helps. And because we're doing this, where we are listening to different voices, we are trying to come up with solutions which is very robust. And lastly, it helps in looking at advocacy and legislation. So we can come up with policy which is responsive to the current needs. So that's again something which environmental communication helps us with. So with that, I hand it over to you, Monmi. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to again, come back to the blog competition. So the last date for the blog competition is to send in your entries is on the 22nd of May. And we would request you to send this in. We have three topics. One is basically debunking myths with facts. So again, so we've kept three different genres over here, where you can look at presenting information. One is about where you're looking at presenting stories, which is the coastal tales, and this can be fictional, this can be real. It could be the other is local heroes of your ocean. So you are basically showcasing or spotlighting the work which is done by local heroes. So it could be a person, it could be an organization, or it could be a group of people who are just doing it, the fishing community, like how Elroy said. So that is something that we want you to focus on. And there are a lot of myths about the ocean. So that is something we want you to come out with with facts. So the myth that you can dump anything into the ocean and the ocean will take care of it. Is that is that something that is happening, or is the ocean suffering? So there are a lot of myths. We want you to engage on that, do a little bit of research about it, understand more about the ocean, and then send in your blog. So all the details are there. The registration link for the blog is also shared. So please do participate, and we look forward to having very good entries because we would then be showcasing this on the project webpage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Saltanat. Environmental communication does influence individual and, collective behaviors to adopt. Thank you once again. So as Saltanat mentioned about the blog competition, the details I have put in the chat box, the link for the registration, to know more about the guidelines or to know more about the project. So the links are shared in the chat box. You can check over there. Now, to help you understand and incorporate the nuances of blogging to basically safeguard the oceanic health, the next session we have is on environmental blogging. This will be taken up by Ms. Amita Malhotra, founder of Equality. To give you a brief background, Ms. Amita is an experienced communication and marketing professional and a social entrepreneur with a passion for storytelling. She has over 17 years of experience in integrated communications and brand building. In June 2018, she founded Equality, which is India's first gender cool brand that challenges gender stereotypes in early childhood. She is passionate about gender issues and creating social impact through communication. We are very fortunate to have you, Ms. Amita, and thank you for joining us today. And over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, lovely. I think it's so great actually to always be with the student community, because I think the energy of the back to my own time, I was reflecting on the fact that I think my own first blog, I was a student, I was probably like 22 years back. And one thinks that to us at that point, it seemed like blogs are so new. They were born right in front of us, but it's already been more than 25 years. So just give me a second. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Lovely. So I'm here to talk on the part about environmental blogging. I think all the students would have gotten a good context of why environment matters, why the oceans matter, a little bit of introduction on communication, but how do you use your skills of writing to influence others, shape opinions? That's something that we're going to cover. So broadly, in terms of topics, we'll look at, just a little bit of history, how a blog's a little different from traditional writing. We look at how do you even define the purpose, audience, your topics and formats. How do you go about building content and engagement? What are the different blogging platforms? Some best practices, and finally, some actionable ideas that I wanted to leave with all of you. Now, I'm aware that you have a competition here, and I think you're looking at applying some of those learnings in terms of the specific blog posts that you may be writing. But I would highly recommend that you look at this exercise beyond just the competition, because this can be a start point for you for a future career in environment. And the body of work that you create today can go a long way in establishing your direction in terms of your life ahead. So just a little bit of history of blogging. So when blogs came into being, prior to that, there was only mainstream media, which meant that if you had a message, you always needed to go through an intermediary, which was the editor, the newspaper. If people aspired to be a journalist, there was no direct way of reaching your message to the people. It was always mediated by someone. So when blogging came into being, it was absolutely revolutionary because it gave power to the people. You could be anywhere in the world. It didn't matter how old you were. It did not matter, how many years of experience. If you were someone who was living in a coastal area, and you were watching something happen all around you, you could share it and it could reach everyone in the world. So you all would be aware of influencers and creators, because social media came in later on, Instagram and everything. But before all of this happened, there was blogs that came into being, which was the first time, whether it was different domains from politics, climate, fashion, there were writers in all of these spaces. The first blog was written actually in 1994, and these are all anecdotal. It said that there was a student in Swarthmore College in US, Justin Hall, who's said to have written like the first blog. I don't think he even called it a blog, called it his personal web page. And initially it was called weblog because it was considered you're on the internet and you're writing a log, a diary. So it was like an online diary where you're keeping a record of things that are of importance to you. And then subsequently, the web uh, dropped and it was just termed blog in 99. So initially Blogger, Journal, Zanga, these were some of the earliest platforms. And like I said, it started as something as a personal journal. And today it's a medium to share your passion, your expertise, drive awareness. You can have many, many reasons why you could be writing. Now let's look at how does blogging differ from traditional writing. So first of all, what I spoke about the intermediary. In traditional writing, if you want to write for a newspaper or a magazine, even an online newspaper, there is an editor. You go to that person, they decide whether your content makes cut or not. When you're writing a blog, it's completely up to your talent. If you're good at what you do, you today have the voice. It's with you. The second thing is about interactivity. So in traditional writing, while sure, I mean, there was letter to the editor where, the audiences could write in, but with blogs, there came high engagement because, there was a section of comments. There could be so much dialogue, so much engagement. And a lot of people think that online and offline is different, but actually how online and offline beautifully come together because, you could have someone commenting on your blog, and then you're organizing a meet, and there's a whole collaborative group coming together thanks to that interaction that started online. In terms of feedback on traditional writing, it's low connected to the engagement. It's high on blogs because you get to hear from your audience. Audience is important over here. Tonality in traditional writing has always been very serious, very formal. You're very there are strict conventions. Whereas on blogs, it can be more conversational. There's more scope for your own personality, your own unique point of view. In fact, it's something that's celebrated online. Who are you? What do you stand for? And that's important. In terms of frequency, so traditional writing, if it's a newspaper, it's published daily versus if it's a blog, you could be doing like 2 posts a day, whatever is the frequency that you may want to do. In terms of length, again, traditional writing is defined that, okay, 600 words or 1,000 words. And here, blogs, it's absolutely variable. You could do 200 words, you could do 2,000 words, depends on, what you're trying to achieve. And finally, in terms of multimedia, what's beautiful about blogs is the fact that you can integrate, especially in today's time, even more, like podcasts are popular. So if you want to do interviews with someone, so you could have an audio podcast, but you could have the full transcript in terms of text on your blog. So different options in terms of media. Now, as I spoke, one of the reasons why blogs never became mainstream, because blogging takes a lot of effort. So one, it needs a lot of time, effort, intelligence, writing skills. And quickly after blogs, social media came into being. And that was easy. Just posting 140 characters is not difficult, which is why blogging in a way never, got adopted by, I would say, it didn't become mainstream. But it's of high, and it made me question that in today's time, why is it of relevance? When you're on social media, you're on YouTube, why do you need to blog? What's the point? So here are a few points which I feel are important. The number one thing about blogs is that in times of low attention spans, in times of extremely shallow content, it's a space which allows you to explore topics with depth and detail. And this is specifically true in context of environmental blogging, because environment is a serious subject. It's, while visuals can do a great storytelling, but you need to build in a lot of context. So it allows you to delve into complex subjects, provide detailed analysis, comprehensive insights. That's how blogs stay relevant today. The other important point is longevity. So, when you get content on your Instagram feed, it's fleeting. It comes and it goes at such a great speed that the shelf life of the content itself is very short. Whereas blogs have a longer shelf life. You can always go back to that content. In fact, it'll help you discover some other content. It's aggregated beautifully in a way. It helps you understand, even the authority of that person, of the past work that that person has done. Whereas on social media, it's actually pretty lost among, all the content that you see. Also, blogs continue to attract visitors through search. So search is extremely important when it comes to blogging. Just a second, I think my screen. Yeah. So the other thing is about, it's a great way to build thought leadership. And your young people today, you can start your journeys today. If you want, there was a time when you had to go to the world. If you wanted a job, you had to apply for positions. And today you can be a magnet. You attract the world to you, because if you have great, talent, if you're willing to work hard. Just a second. I think the slides have moved forward. Your writing, your blogging, your ideas is something that can attract people to the kind of work. You can bring attention to who you are, what you stand for. You don't have to go to people asking for opportunities. Opportunities will come to you because they will see that, you have talent in that space. So important to do well-researched content, which really builds authority and trust. Also, I spoke about search. So search on Google, on other search engines as well. Text content is of extreme importance. Voice search is, now picking up, and other forms of, like audio and all of that will matter. But today, high quality content really improves visibility and it drives organic traffic. So updating regular content and doing high quality content. And we'll talk about what the Google's algorithm is, how it optimizes for what shows up on the search stream in the subsequent slides as well. So getting started, some tips for you guys on your blogging journey. And I'm reiterating, I'm speaking from a space of assuming that you're not only writing a blog post as you're doing for this competition, but you're considering starting a blog of your own. There are some fundamental questions you got to ask yourself, which will help you. This is a framework which will actually apply very well in anything that you do in life, but definitely for this exercise. Start with a why. The first question is not how am I going to do, what I'm going to do, who am I going to do. The first question is why. What is your purpose of writing? What is your motivation? Because everything that you do will stem from that. Are you creating a blog because you feel that you have a career in environmental conservation or in climate? Are you doing it because you deeply care and it's about social impact and change that you want to drive? Is it about a personal connection? You're someone who lives in coastal areas. It's something you've seen, the habitat change. And finally, another reason could be in terms of networking and collaboration that you're trying to build, which could be related with your career, that you're trying to build relationships with, people who are in this space. If you're just writing a note to, someone senior in a conservation organization, maybe you don't hear back from them. But if you're doing an interview with them, you may hear back from them. So there's great opportunity to learn and show your own thought leadership. So think about why. What's your why? Why are you doing it? Knowing who's your audience, because everything that you write, and this applies even for the blog post competition that you guys are doing, be clear on who is the intended reader for it. And I've given some examples that are you writing this for students? Are you writing it for people? But people living where? Are these locals who are living in coastal regions, or are these consumers living in big cities? Because environmental understanding and how it impacts them and how their actions impact environment can be different. Is it for policymakers? So you need to be, the second question you need to ask yourself is, who is your audience? Who is going to read this blog post? Who is this aimed for? Now, why is the audience important? And here are things that you need to remember. So first of all, whether your content is relevant or not will depend on how clear you are, who you are speaking with. At home also, sometimes when you come from outside, and how you speak with your sibling is going to be different with how you speak with your parents, right? So you tailor your content. It's the same message that you're saying something happened at school, but you tailor that message depending on who you're speaking with. So understanding their needs, their preferences, their interests, defines the relevance of the message. Other thing, the effectiveness of your message is defined by your clarity of the audience. What kind of tonality? Can you be informal? Do you need to be serious? What would be the kind of language that you need to use? And finally, also your content strategy depends on it, because it helps you define what kind of formats or topics, will work for this group. So from your purpose, which is why do I want to do it? And from, who do I want to speak? Sorry, I've written how, I mean the audience, which is who do you want to speak? It will come your what. What do you want to talk about? So I've given two examples over here. So for example, if you're reaching out to, let's say, locals living in coastal regions, maybe you want to talk about, responsible coastal recreation that, or for tourists over there, that, when you go to beaches and marine environments, how do you like minimize impact of uh, of the plastic usage and of human beings being there? But if you're doing it for big cities, then it is about sustainable living, because a lot of people in big cities may not know how does my everyday choice and consumption impact the ocean. So bring that message alive for them. Know how you want to engage. This is about your approach. Like, you could be using data, and I mentioned in the subsequent slides about the importance of data visualization, because you also don't want to overwhelm people with data. So how do you use statistics? Because just dry statistics are going to be extremely boring. How do you weave that data to count for something? So you know about this left brain and right brain and logic and emotions. Essentially, you have to know that human beings gravitate towards stories. So how can you tell stories, especially of human interest? Personally, I feel one of the problems with climate change communication is it tends sometimes to be very technical, very impersonal. So people on the ground don't really understand how I am a stakeholder. How does this impact? Which is mind boggling, because I mean, so much of crisis that is happening in terms of heat waves, so much migration that is happening. I mean, it's all around us. My brother is in Dubai and there were these rains that happened. Your house is flooded. So you're definitely impacted by things that happen. It's important to establish for people that linkage of this. Don't treat it just as a single event that happened. Link that event to the context of how it impacts your life and how your actions could be different. So just two samples I've given you of the how, because if you were, let's say, speaking to the student community, your tonality could be friendly, informative, and your style could be very clear. You'd use a lot of real world examples. Make it accessible so it's easy for them to understand. Don't need to be very academic or formal in your communication. But on the other hand, if you were doing it for locals living in coastal regions, then your tonality would be more, there would be more empathy, or it would be more about community. There's a sense of pride or belongingness that you're bringing alive. Even in your language, you're referring to those places and to those people to appeal to them and bring about personal anecdotes to create a sense of purpose. If you're doing it for conservation organizations, now this is more, your tone will be more professional, more solution oriented. Your language will not be like uh, uh, like complex, but the idea is this is an audience who will know certain terminology, so you would be using certain terms, you'd be using a lot of research to support your arguments. Now we'll speak very briefly about building content and engagement. So first of all, how do you go about building high quality content? If you want to be a good writer, you always have to be a voracious reader, and that applies everywhere to the world of blogging. And today you can pull a lot of high quality content to yourself, so you don't have to go visiting. I mean, I'm sure you get stuff on your feeds, but sometimes from credible organizations, or something that really works for me is Google Alerts. I mean, it's traditional, but it still works because I've set these Google Alerts for topics that are of interest to me. So if I say oceans plus India, or TERI, because I want to follow, so every time TERI gets mentioned, I'll get a daily alert around that. You can identify relevant topics and keywords. This might be a little technical for students, but depending on your level, Google Trends for sure, all of you can go on Google Trends and see, you could put a topic and see how the trend varies over a period of time. But there are these tools like SEMrush, Ahref, might be a little technical, but these are used for identifying which topics, which are the keywords that you could be building in. Building a content calendar is an extremely important part of blogging, because you need to do this consistently. It can't be you posted once a month and then you forgot all about it. So you need to have a posting schedule, keywords, topics, also notable events, because you would have mapped already in the whole year to say this is where the environment day is, or this is where this particular day is. What kind of content do I want to do on these special days? Compelling headlines is very important because they hook the reader. So even when you promote on social media, that's what people see. Also evaluate a mix of what kind of content. Original content, meaning you've written it, or you've reached out to authority figure, you interviewed someone. So that's something, that's body of knowledge that you created, versus curated, which means you found somewhere, and there's value to that also. Because over a period of time, if you're curating high quality content, then they come to you, they see you as a go-to person on that particular topic, because your research skills may be very strong. And like I said, evaluate a mix of data, which is logic, and storytelling, which is emotional. Now, in terms of engagement, so content is the king. You can do all kinds of tactics, but if your content is poor, you're not going to go anywhere with your engagement. Optimize for SEO. Again, a little technical, but Google uses an algorithm, and the way it decides, what it shows up on the search rankings is in terms of a framework called EEAT. Actually, it was just EAT earlier, which was about expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness, and now they added recently experience. So experience is about how long have you been doing? So how that reflects in your content. Expertise, do you really have knowledge on this topic? Authority. So you have, as you establish this, your content shows up in the search rankings. Some of the stuff like promoting on social media, I'm sure you're well versed with this. So catchy headlines, use hashtags. Email marketing, if you're doing it seriously, you could build a list of email subscribers. Don't know if you've heard of Substack. That's how people are sending their own email newsletters, even monetizing it. Like, people are willing to pay money for getting your email newsletter. And finally, engage with your audience. Encourage discussion with them, because engagement is going to be a lot about hearing in from your audience, gathering their feedback on your work. very quickly on some of the popular blogging platforms. So WordPress, Medium, and Blogger. So in my times, 30 years back, Blogger was our go-to network. But today, WordPress is fairly popular. I've spoken about the two. So there is WordPress.com where it's hosted, so you don't have to worry about hosting. But if you're an evolved user, then if you want to use more themes and plugins, then you may want to do it on WordPress.org because that gives you. So it's about control and responsibility. As students, I feel like a WordPress or Medium or Blogger can work for you because you're not looking at hosting on a separate server. The thing about Medium, the only way Medium differs is if you see on the point on community where Medium also has a built-in audience. So users can follow you and recommend and share your work. So you may want to get started on Medium. Some best practices. So first of all, be quality conscious, fact check and verify information. Don't put stuff that you've just Googled and you found on the first search. Try to validate the content that you're doing. Focus on error-free copy, look at your language, grammar, etc. Second point is about being authentic. Now, what is authentic? Presenting your unique point of view. Like, have you just picked it and put it? Or what is your unique point of view? What is your thought about it? Or what do you think about it is something that you need to present. Being transparent, and I've spoken about affiliation, but also I would say about, which is linked with the next point about copyright and intellectual property also, disclosure in terms of sources also, and this happens so much in social media. I'm sure you see that, like, you just pick a quote from someone, you haven't put it in quotes, you haven't attributed it to the author, you just make it sound like you're Bertrand Russell. So don't do that. Like, attribute to the authors and the experts from which you would have. It also lends more credibility to your work, that you've done your research and you're quoting your sources. Respect privacy. So if you're doing interviews of people, do take permissions from them. Inform them, this is where I'm going to be using your content. Are you okay with that? Engage responsibly. So when people write to you on comments, give a timely response on that. Also, if you have a disagreement, do it constructively. Don't have to fight about it. Understand, where the other person is coming from. Present your point of view and keep it respectful. And I think it's linked to the point of tone and sensitivity. So be aware online of how you engage, because the online footprint also stays. So be mindful of that. And some final thoughts from me on some actionable ideas. So you guys are students, this is a time to learn. And even in content and blogging, there are a lot of new skills and tools to be learned. So you keep hearing about AI, chat GPT. Again, don't just copy. And one of the fears that I have is that, while blogging had taken a backseat in between, it's going to come back a lot. You can use chat GPT to generate content, etc., which is going to bring, a lot of low quality content. So don't do that. You can use it effectively. You can use AI for researching topics, for validating things, but don't use it just to, blanket copy, but learn skills around chat GPT or, other tools, which is about prompt engineering. Understand what kind of prompts, because asking the right questions gets you the right answers. So the quality of your questions will define answers. Also, data visualization might be a little technical, though data wrapper is fairly intuitive. So you might want to write down some of these tools, check out Data Wrapper, Power BI, maybe Tableau. Develop skills of data visualization. How do you present and tell your story? So I think I've already spoken about the value of storytelling versus dry stats. Not going to repeat that. But finally, in terms of intended outcomes, one of the most important thing about communication is that we communicate because we are trying to influence opinion, shape behaviors. When you're writing something, ask yourself, what's the outcome that I want from a reader? Is that I want the reader to be wowed looking at it? I want the reader to take an action. I want that reader to join a group. What is the call to action? What do you want the reader to do? So thinking about outcomes is very important. My best wishes to you for your upcoming competition. And I'm sure this becomes a start point of your journey, with this competition on environmental blogging also becomes a start point for your, love and journey and writing on environment. So thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Amita, for some very interesting, tips on content and engagement and good practices to follow. I hope, students do, get a sense of it and start, they get prepared for this, blog competition that we have. So this is basically, first step for them also to, put their efforts and, focus on blog writing, and whosoever are interested. It's a very interesting presentation. So thank you once again. And moving on, we have an open house, and before we start with the, we actually have a live quiz, and so it's on the right side. If you see, we have started the polling. So just just we have few questions ahead. I mean, we have put it over there, and it's basically an MCQ. So I'll read out the questions, and you have to basically tick on any one of the options that you feel is is the right answer basically. So let me just read out to you the question number 1. I hope students, you can see the poll on the right. We can see some of them have actually started. It's on the right, and we have if you see, we have kept the question 1 that we have is basically which of the following is the most common ocean litter found globally? Is it option A, cigarette butts? Is it option B, straws? Is it plastic shopping bags? Is it water and soda bottles? So there are 4 options. You have to tick on any one of them. So just go through it. I will read out the questions, and after the end of the poll, after we are done with all answering all the 5 questions, I'll also let you know the correct answer for it. So this is basically a live quiz for you. Just give a thumbs up if you can see the poll on the right. Rahul, can you confirm if the poll is is live now?
The poll is live.
Okay, great. I hope the students can also see it. All right, yes, we have confirmation. So yeah, I'll read out the first question again. And the first question is, which of the following is the most common ocean litter found globally? Is it option A, cigarette butts? Is it B, straws? Is it plastic shopping bags, which is option C? Or is it D, that is water and soda bottles? I'll move on to the next question. What, if you can see the next question as well. So what percentage of Earth's area is covered by world's oceans? Is it option A, 71%, option B, 85%, option C, 78%, or option D, 60%? Okay, some of them have already submitted, which is great. I guess the questions are interesting. All right, we have a third question, which is on a true or false basis. So the question is, there is more microplastic in the ocean than there are stars in the Milky Way. Is it true or false? You have to just put option A or option B. Option A is true or option B, which is false. I'll move to the next one. The fourth question. 3 out of every 7 person on the planet depend on dash. On what as their main source of protein? I'll read out the question again. 3 out of every 7 person on the planet depends on what as their main source of protein? Is it option A, poultry? Is it option B, seafood? Is it option C, insects? Or is it option D, plants? Okay, I'll read out the last question. The last question, question number 5, is name the Indian nodal ministry mandated to use science and technology for exploration of ocean resources, which is basically marine living and non-living ocean resources. Your options are option A, Ministry of Earth Sciences, option B, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, option C, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, or option D, Ministry of Port Authorities. Okay. All right. So can we have the answers? Rahul, can we also see the answer? Or I should share it with the attendees as well. I'll share the, results. Just a sec, because there are a lot of chat happening there. So no, I'm not being able to click on it.
Ma'am, I hope you see the poll result.
Yes. All right. So we have the answers. We have the results here. I will read the, answers again. So for the question 1, the correct answer is option A, that is cigarette butts. This is the most common ocean litter which is found globally, which is the cigarette butts. It's not even plastic shopping bags or the water and soda bottles. It's basically, it's globally. So, cigarette butts are the most common ocean litter. For the next question number 2, which was asked on the percentage of Earth's area covered by world's ocean, the answer is option A, 71%. Option 3, we had a statement and you had to, either answer it true or false. And the correct answer is true. Yes, there is more microplastic in the ocean than there are stars in the Milky Way. It's kind of scary, right? So yeah, so that's why we have workshops like this. That's why you are a part of, the project Ocean Matters. We have to protect the ocean. We have to safeguard the oceanic health. All right, question number 4, which was on 3 out of every 7 person on the planet depends on what type of main source of protein. It's seafood. It's not even poultry or insects, plants. It's basically seafood that 3 out of 7 person on the planet are dependent on. Question number 5, which is the nodal, we asked for the Indian nodal ministry mandated to use the science and technology for exploration of ocean resources. The correct answer is Ministry of Earth Sciences. We have a specific, Indian nodal ministry, which is specifically, mandated to use science and technology for exploration of ocean resources. And that is the Ministry of Earth Sciences. All right, we can see few of the, students, they mentioned that, some have answered 5 out of 5, or, which is very great. Some have 4 out of 5, but still, that's also not a bad, score. So yeah, all right, that's great, everyone. And, we also wanted to discuss, we have seen few of the, questions. And if any one of these speakers could basically answer to the questions that students had in between. And also, if you have any other further questions, please put it in the chat box so that our speakers here can answer to you. They are, they are already here, so we can have your queries answered. So from Shiza Afrin, we had a question. I mean, she wanted to know what is documentation. From Shiza Afrin, if Sultanate or if you could answer.
Hi, Shiza. Yeah, so Shiza, document 1 minute. There is an echo. Yeah, so Shiza, documentation is basically where you are recording information. So in the context of when we are looking at environmental communication, a lot of information, some of the information is already documented and it is existing. So information which is there, maybe it's like the books, your textbooks, they are documents and they have information in it. There may be information which you may gain when you go and you speak to a particular community, you understand their custom, their tradition, their interaction and relation with the environment. And that information which you are now recording, that is basically where you're working on documenting that information. Follow? Fine.
Thank you, Saltanat. We also have a question on what is advocacy, and that is from Mahi Jain. And from Tanvir, we had a question: if regional languages and local knowledge engaged.
Yeah, so advocacy is basically, giving a voice, to put your voice across, as I was mentioning. So, and this can be, so that you're giving your voice so that, there is an action then is taken, for that voice that you are giving. So if you have a particular concern, you put that out, and state it out and, work towards to try and see that, there is an action that is taken. So we look at advocacy in the context of, let's say where we give, where people put out their concerns, raise their voice, so that, it can influence in, policy, influence government to come up with policy that is, responsive to their needs. So that's something, I'm just trying to simplify and explain to you what is advocacy. Okay. The other question is, yes, I mean, the way how people, even when you look at environment, people's interaction with the environment has also resulted, it also influences their culture. So, so these are things which is not separate. So you can, look at culture when you're talking about it. And when you're communicating with people, it's best you speak to them in the regional language, because that's when you will get the best insights from the people. If you're asking about the blog competition, the entry, the medium is English. It's not in regional languages as of now, but this is something we can look at maybe in the future. Let's see how this goes. This is, and then we could look at it and try and see it later on. I hope I've answered the question.
There are also questions if we need to add pictures to our blogs, or can we mention our resources altogether? Also, we have a question which from Rima, which says that if there are any alternatives for creating a blog other than WordPress and Medium. So to answer, I think few of the questions here. So regarding the the medium, the alternatives. So in this the Miss Amita, she has presented a very a detailed content about what is blogging, what is environmental blogging. So we have already shared the YouTube link here. So if you want to go through it again, if you want to know in details And so go through that YouTube link. We have live streamed it, so you would be able to as and when you want to know more about it, so just go through that link and read about the environmental communication or the environmental blogging. So everything, Ms. Amita's presentation has mentioned all of it. So we have a few other questions as well, and we very good to see so many questions, but we will not be able to answer all of them right now. But we will take few of the questions and we'll see if it is not not repeating, then we will be happy to answer to you in a separate forum. And so we have, we are almost coming to an end of the program. So let's continue with the session, and then, whatever, if we see there are, questions, if there are not repeated questions, we will get back to you on it. All right. So, like I mentioned, we have come to the end of the program today. I now invite Dr. Nitin K. Kehlon, a senior fellow and associate director of the Environment Education Awareness Division at TERI, to propose a vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Monmi. A big congratulations for organizing this successful workshop, and indeed a much needed one, because we are approaching the Oceans Day, and the more we can create awareness about this valuable resource, the better it is. So my role today is to extend a vote of thanks, but I cannot stop myself from adding a few points before I go to that role. I've been listening to the points being raised in the workshop, and I thought I could also give a little bit of more clarity to a few confusions. First of all, I was at the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change today in the morning, and I want to tell you one very important information, if already not known to you. The MOEFCC logo has two vital elements imprinted within the logo. One is the Royal Bengal tiger, and the other is the dolphin. So while the tiger depicts and stands for terrestrial animals, it speaks about why terrestrial life needs to be kept safe, and how, since it's an endangered species and also an umbrella species, protecting it will automatically guarantee the life of the species below it. The second is the dolphin. Why is dolphin chosen? Dolphin represents the oceans. And since this family, Delphinidae, is found all over the world, so this is one common thread across all aquatic life. So this shows and reinforces that our ministry, our nodal ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate, is committed to protect life on land and equally committed to protecting life in the oceans. And when we speak about the wellness of oceans, we know about the fish, we know about so many other things. So while you're even composing your blogs, please go out and try to discover lesser known facts, lesser known points about oceans, and bring them forward in a creative form. That is what is going to make your piece really excellent. There was a question that how much, if we copy from somewhere, will we be accused of plagiarism? Of course, you will be. Nobody is going to put you into the jail at this stage, but this is a habit forming stage in our life. There are several free softwares available where you can check the level of plagiarism that your article has. One of it is called Turnitin. So once you compose your blog, please test the level, the degree of plagiarism, and if it is more than 15%, please delete the article. The acceptable level with references is between 10 to 15%. Okay, so if it is less than 10, it's excellent. It should never be more than 15%. So these are important messages I thought I should share with you. And also today, we were having a meeting where one of the joint secretaries at MOFCC was presiding over the program. And it is very, very encouraging to see that a person at that level says that education is all about joy of learning. She said, I'm completely against evaluation, against pledges about quantification of the knowledge required from different programs, activities. What I want to see, what I want to instill in the students is the joy of learning. So every stone that we throw into this mighty oceans, a stone of knowledge, is going to create a ripple effect. So let this blogging experience be for you an excellent learning platform, and you're able to influence the friends, the peers all around you, and pull them also into this joy of learning. So enjoy the experience, write creatively, and also it is very, very important that what you write is validated. That has anyway been spoken earlier. So with this, we conclude today's workshop. I would like to extend a very, very warm thanks and gratitude to our supporters and promoters of the project Ocean Matters. Mr. Scott E. Hartman, the Public Diplomacy Officer at US Consulate General. Sir, thank you for your support to the project. Our other supporters and I would say promoters of the project, like Ms. Brinda has been an active member throughout. So Brinda, I would like to sincerely thank you for the program. And I really look forward to meeting you again in person along with all the students to take forward the project activities. Our colleagues, Dr. Elroy, Saltadat, Miss Amita, Monmi, have all been there interacting with you today. A sincere thank you and gratitude to all of you for sparing your time, and also our enthusiastic participants. The numbers are varying between 124, 127, 129. So all the numbers that are here today, a very, very special thank you personally and collectively for making this workshop successful. Please keep learning and remember the principle of joy of learning, and create something which is very unique, which is very, very creative, and I'm sure you will excel in all spheres in future. Thank you so much. Thank you, Monmi.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you once again to the to the audience. You have been a great audience, and we hope that this event provided you with an opportunity to gain a better understanding of the oceanic health. Before leaving, there is
Monmi, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again. Thank you to all the audience. You have been a great audience today, and we hope that this event, this workshop, provided you with an opportunity to gain a better understanding of the oceanic health. And with this, I would I have shared a feedback link with you all, and which is, we want your feedback, like as to how was the workshop today. So please feel free to, just, click on the link and, share your feedback with us. And yeah, with this, let us, all take a step forward to safeguard our ocean. Thank you once again, everyone.